Now, Niger's president visits Algeria. On the surface, it appears to be a routine diplomacy, two neighboring states discussing cooperation. But in a region where alliances are shifting, mediation roles are evolving, and new security blocs are consolidating. On no high-level visits is ever merely symbolic. The question is not whether Niger can engage Algeria. The real question is, does this visit signal a strategic recalibration within the Alliance of the Sahel States? That's the real question. And could it test the AES unity at a delicate moment in regional restructuring? Now let's break it down and examine it carefully. In this video, I'm going to break down for you first of all the facts of the visit. What are the analysts are saying from the Sahel states from the ground? And number two, does this test the AES unity? What is the regional backdrop? And what is also the Sahel perspective and the Pan-African perspective, in which here at Connect Africa, we always, likes to give, and that is the purpose of the existence of this platform. Now, let's start first the facts of the visit. The president of Niger, General Abdurrahman Tiani, conducted a 2 days official visit to Algeria. Now, government analyst on the ground has looked at it from a bilateral cooperation, border security, economic development, infrastructure coordination, regional stability, and he even looked at it also from the Pan-African perspective. Now, let me play that video for you.
Certains observateurs de la scène africaine considèrent que le fait qu'il ait fait le déplacement peut être justement une raison supplémentaire pour même enlever la pression qui existe entre Bamako et Alger.
Pour rapprocher les deux.
Il peut être un médiateur, pouvoir rapprocher Assimi Goïta et le président donc algérien. C'est pour dire qu'en Afrique, il faut que les États africains travaillent à développer plus des coopérations sud-sud. Moi, tant qu'un État africain va vers un autre État africain, a priori, ça ne me pose pas de problème, parce que c'est ça aussi le panafricanisme. On ne peut pas défendre le panafricanisme, et chaque fois qu'un pays frère va vers un autre pays frère, bon, c'est des tollés, il faut qu'on dépasse ça. Il faut que les États africains travaillent surtout à ne pas être des instruments utilisés par les grandes puissances pour les repositionnements géopolitiques et développer des coopérations sud-sud. Le plus important, c'est l'intérêt des populations. Si l'Algérie peut aider le Niger à stabiliser son économie.
Okay, let me just stop it there and translate what he's saying here. Okay, in general, so some observers of the scene are looking at this, considering it that the fact that he may have made the trip just one more reason for even removing the existing pressure between Bamako and Algiers to catch, so that he can be a mediator, not to bring, for example, Colonel Assimi Goïta, the president of Mali, and the president of Algeria. So this is to say that African states need to work to develop more secure cooperation. And also as an African state, we will towards as a brotherly state, this is what we need to do. It doesn't, him visiting Algeria doesn't pose any problem, because that's also not what Pan-Africanism is about. It cannot defend Pan-Africanism. So every time a brother country visits another, it shouldn't be taken as a mess or a negative thing. So he said it's something that we need to get to pass. Now let's come back to our own analysis and let's continue to break this down. Okay, now geographically, what he said, this makes sense, right? Niger and Algeria are they share an extensive border across sensitive areas which are vulnerable to armed movements and trafficking networks as well. Now, so security dialogue between them is not new, and however, context transforms things. And so this routine diplomacy into a strategic signal. That's what we are saying. Now let's look at from the regional backdrop, okay? Now the Alliance of the Sahel States is composed of 3 countries, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. It represents a significant shift in a regional coordination. So AES in general signals there is a great sovereign security alignment, reduced dependence on traditional regional frameworks, and increased military cooperation among its members. So at the same time, Algeria's role in Mali has evolved, okay? So, for example, in 2015, Algeria brokered the Algiers Agreement, positioning itself as a central mediator between Bamako and Algiers, okay? As a central mediator between Bamako and its northern extremists known as Tuaregs. That mediation role granted Algeria undeniably a substantial diplomatic leverage in the Sahel. However, Mali's current leadership under Colonel Assimi Goïta has prioritized military consolidation and territorial reassertion. So there is no accepting of separatist movement, no sitting down with separatists. That is the center of this government principle, okay? So they said they're not going to tolerate any negotiation with this armed group, and they have cut down. And with that comes Algeria's main role, which it has been taking a leverage as a mediator, has been stopped. So in geopolitical terms, when mediation roles decline, leverage, what happens? Recalibrates. So when Niger strengthens engagement with Algeria today, observers naturally interpret it within this broader context of regional positioning. And let me see if I can get any video of Niger's president visit in Algeria, because that will be good playing it for you, right? Let me see. Now, if not, I will just play this. I don't think I am finding one, but yeah, let's continue. Now, looking at it from the perspective of now, how does this test the AES unity? Now, it's important to be precise, okay? There is no public evidence of fragmentation within the Alliance of the Sahel States. The alliance still remains intact. However, emerging alliances face a structural question, okay? Now, for example, Niger's president visiting Algeria. How should member states of the AES manage bilateral partnerships with external actors while maintaining collective cohesion? If one AES member deepens security or economic coordination with Algeria, independently, analytical questions arise, and that is very natural, okay? Is this engagement synchronized with an AES? Does it strengthen the bloc collectively, or could it introduce an asymmetry in strategic alignment? This is not about division. It's about balance, right? In regional blocks, cohesion is not automatic. It's actively managed. It's contextual. And in a Sahel undergoing internal power recalibration, balance becomes strategic. Okay, now let's look at from the security dimension. Okay, I'm gonna break that down to you. Just a second, I'm going to find a video for you. Okay, I think I find. Let me, let me share this with you quickly because it's important to show you his visit here. Okay, let me just play it. And I will continue. Okay, this is the visit, right? I will continue my analysis. Now, the security dimension of it, when we break it down, here it is. Yeah, so as you can see, that is him visiting. So from the security dimension, from Niger's perspective, let's look at it. Engagement with Algeria carries a practical logic. Algeria has long positioned itself as a significant regional security actor in North Africa and the Sahel. So for Niger, cooperation may include intelligence coordination, border stabilization, counter-extremism strategy, and infrastructure connectivity through the northbound corridors, which they have started before this leadership revolution happened in the Sahel. There was this gas pipeline from Nigeria, Niger, and through Algeria going to France and to the rest of European countries, which is halted when the revolution happened in Niger, okay? So such cooperation does not inherently weaken AES in general. In fact, if properly managed or coordinated, it could reinforce regional autonomy. Now, the decisive factor is whether bilateral engagement strengthens collective security architecture rather than fragmenting it. So that is what we need to question now. So having said that, let's now let's break it down. Okay, let's hold it there. And yeah, let's look at it now from the Sahel perspective itself. Now, from the Sahel-based analysts, as you have heard it, he interpreted from in different lenses. So one of it is it's a Pan-African standpoint, which I find it very interesting because that is their base. These leaders in the Sahel are all Pan-African leaders. So he argued that African states strengthening ties with one another should not automatically be viewed with suspicion. That's I'm paraphrasing it, but that's exactly that's what he said, and that's very really I find it very interesting. Okay, yes, I mean normally we shouldn't be against this just because Niger is part of the AES and one of its member states have a tensioned relation with Algeria. It doesn't mean Niger should not establish or re-establish its connection bilateral relationship with Algeria, right? It just have to be coordinated. So furthermore, if Algeria can assist Niger in stabilizing its economy, securing its territory, and reinforcing regional integrity, that cooperation may serve a continental interest, not only regional. Now, furthermore, Morocco also maintains, what we should not forget, is that strategic relations with Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. In fact, there is a tension between Morocco and Algeria. It's a decade-standing tension between the two countries. So there's this pooling of AES, okay? So engagement with Algeria does not necessarily imply exclusion of other partners like Morocco. The deeper concern, according to this view, is that ensuring that African states do not become instruments of external geopolitical competition. In other words, intra-African cooperation should enhance sovereignty, not reproduce dependency. And that brings us looking at it, breaking it down from the Pan-African perspective. Okay, let's look at it from its Pan-African frame. Now, from a broader continental perspectives, perspective, this moment reflects something significant. How so? Okay, for decades, the Sahel security architecture was shaped heavily by external actors like France, the French government, in the whole of West Africa. Today, African states are renegotiating influence among themselves. This is an intra-African recalibration of power. We have the intra-African trade, the African continental trade area. We also have now here intra-African recalibration of power. Algeria is redefining its regional role. Okay, Niger is diversifying its strategic partnership outside of the AES. AES, in this case, is consolidating sovereign coordination. Now, the challenge is not engagement. The challenge is synchronization amongst these members in the Sahel states. Now, in conclusion, Niger's visit to Algeria may represent routine diplomacy, or it may signal subtle strategic repositioning itself within a transforming Sahel. The real measure of the Alliance of the Sahel States' strengths will not be who its members engage with. It will be how effectively they coordinate those engagements to preserve unity and autonomy. In a region redefining its security architecture, balance is not optional. It is a strategic necessity. With that, I end it here and I leave you to reminisce about it. And thank you very much once again for tuning in. That was it regarding General Abdurrahman Tiani's visit in Algeria. Let us know in the comment section, how will General Abdurrahman Tiani's visit to Algeria will be interpreted in your view, given all the background that is going on in the Sahel states. Thank you, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.